15 mind-blowing facts about Australia, the most eccentric country on Earth, travel documentary. Number 1. The Dingo Fence, Humanity versus Nature. Oh, you thought the Great Wall of China was long? Cute. Australia's Dingo Fence stretches a monstrous 5,614 kilometers, longer than the freaking distance from New York to LA and back again. Built in the 1880s to keep dingoes, Australia's native wild dogs, away from sheep. Yes, sheep. Not people. Not towns. Not sacred temples. But sheep. We carved a line across an entire continent, not for survival, not for science, but because a bunch of woolly fluffballs kept getting nibbled on. Welcome to Humanity's Greatest Hits, Volume 237, Solving Nature with a Chainsaw. Now let me be clear, this isn't just a fence. It's a monument to our arrogance. A gigantic middle finger to Mother Nature. We didn't just kill predators, we redesigned the ecosystem like it was a Minecraft server. On one side, dingoes gone. On the other, dingoes still free. Sounds harmless, right? Wrong. You know what happens when apex predators disappear? Everything underneath them goes to hell. Think overpopulation, species imbalance, and a rodent rave party with no bouncer. Kangaroos? They exploded in number like some out-of-control Disney subplot. Emus? Same story. They're marching around like they own the place, because, well, they kinda do now. Meanwhile, the land suffers. Overgrazing. Soil degradation. Erosion. It's like we removed one gear from a perfectly running watch, and now we're surprised time isn't ticking right. But here's the kicker, you can't just unfence an ecosystem. Nature doesn't have a Control+Z button. This isn't Photoshop. This isn't your ex's Instagram feed. This is real, and it's permanent. You ever break a vase and try to glue it back together? Still looks like crap, doesn't it? Same deal here. We fractured a living system, and now we walk around acting like it's historic, or clever, or some sort of Outback marvel. Nah, mate. It's an ecological scar you can see from space. And don't get me started on the hypocrisy. We pretend we're about sustainability, ecotourism, saving the planet. Meanwhile, we've got this giant line in the sand telling nature to stay in its bloody lane. If aliens visited Earth and saw the dingo fence, they wouldn't say, wow, look at human ingenuity. They'd say, these lunatics fenced off a continent because they couldn't train a sheepdog. Let that sink in. And just think about the absurdity here. Emus on the east side evolved differently from their cousins on the west. Think about that. We created a biological Cold War. Like Australia's got East and West Berlin of the animal kingdom. Emus are out here developing accents and dietary preferences, just because we decided to play God with a barbed wire pen. Now if you're sitting there thinking, well, at least it worked, right? Hold up. Studies show dingoes still get through in places. Feral cats and foxes, which do way more damage, roam free like it's spring break. So this whole Frankenstein fence? It's less effective than a screen door on a submarine. We built a wall. Nature laughed. And we're too proud to admit it. Here's the raw truth. The dingo fence is a metaphor for everything broken about how we handle nature. We don't listen. We don't respect. We just fix things with overkill. Always have, always will, until we look around one day and realize nature left the party. And we're stuck holding the bill. So yeah, maybe you came here to learn something interesting. But what you needed was a slap in the face. This isn't just about a fence. It's about us. About our need to dominate instead of coexist. And until we tear down those fences, literal and mental, we're gonna keep making the same stupid mistakes. Now tell me in the comments, should the dingo fence be torn down? Or is it a necessary evil? Because if we don't start having that uncomfortable conversation, we'll never fix the damage we still don't understand. Number 2. The Great Barrier Reef, a city underwater. You ever hear someone say, nature is healing? Yeah? Well, go tell that to the Great Barrier Reef, and watch it laugh in your face, if it could still breathe, that is. Because right now, that underwater paradise, that glittering marine metropolis, it's not healing, it's dying. And we're sitting around like clueless houseguests watching the place burn, fanning the flames with a cocktail straw. Let me lay it out for you. The Great Barrier Reef is bigger than the UK. It's so huge, you can see it from freaking space. That's right, astronauts look down and say, oh hey, there's Earth's crown jewel. And we're out here slow roasting it like it's a marshmallow. 1,600 species of fish. 600 types of coral. 6 out of the world's 7 sea turtles call this place home. But guess what? They're checking out. Fast. Bleaching. Fading. Gasping for breath like your uncle with a hangover and a CPAP machine that just died. And we're the cause. Let's stop pretending it's just warming waters or climate change. That's the safe language we use so no one has to feel guilty at brunch. But I'm not here for your emotional comfort. I'm here to say what you're too afraid to admit. We killed the reef. And now we're holding a GoFundMe for the funeral. You ever seen coral bleaching? It's not cute. It's not subtle. It's horrifying. Like watching a rainbow melt into a hospital bed. The reef goes from colorful city to chalk-white ghost town in months. And it doesn't just bounce back. It's not a Disney movie. Nemo's not coming home. This is permanent damage. And before you say, but what about conservation? Listen, planting coral in a dying ocean is like giving CPR to someone with no lungs. Good intentions, garbage outcome. Let's talk economics. The reef brings in billions, with a B from tourism. Hotels, tours, snorkeling trips, tachymagnets with clownfish on them. We've made money off its beauty for decades. And yet, we've invested more in theme parks than protecting this natural wonder. Imagine if your city, your entire city, was slowly collapsing underwater. Streets breaking down, buildings rotting, oxygen vanishing. That's the reef. It's not scenery, it's infrastructure for life. And we're watching it crumble like it's an episode of Planet Earth. Oops. But no one wants to feel bad. So we distract ourselves. We post photos of the reef with filters, slap #Wanderlust on it, and pretend everything's fine. Let me ask you something brutal. When was the last time you actually gave a damn about the ocean? Not a beach day. Not a bikini pic. I mean really cared. Because here's the truth. If the Great Barrier Reef dies, it's not just a loss for Australia. It's a warning shot for the planet. An ecological neon sign screaming, you're next. And yet we still act surprised. Oh no. The reef is bleaching. Buddy, the reef has been bleaching longer than most of you have been recycling. This isn't breaking news. It's old news we've just been too lazy, distracted, or willfully blind to face. So what now? We either pull our heads out of the sand, yes, that's where they are, or we accept that we're the generation that watched one of Earth's greatest living wonders suffocate, and shrugged. No more sugarcoating. No more climate optimism. We need rage, urgency, desperation. The reef's dying, and it's not taking baby steps. It's in a free fall, and we're busy arguing over whether paper straws are too soggy. Drop a 2 in the comments if you're done watching the world's beauty flatline while everyone scrolls past like it's someone else's problem. Because if you're still here, still pissed, and still breathing, then maybe, just maybe, you're one of the few who actually give a damn. Number 3. Kangaroo Kingdom. They outnumber you. Let's just get this out of the way. Yes, there are more kangaroos than humans in Australia. And no, that's not cute, it's a warning. You ever look at something and go, huh, that's kinda funny, only to realize 10 seconds later it's actually deeply unsettling? This is that moment. We all giggle at kangaroos, like they're just bouncing balls of sunshine with built-in baby pouches. But the truth? Australia is being quietly overtaken. Not by AI. Not by aliens. By jacked up, tail-thumping, grass-chewing creatures that could literally outvote you if they had thumbs. There are over 50 million kangaroos roaming the outback right now. That's twice the human population of Australia. Twice. Imagine going to a concert and realizing every seat is taken by a kangaroo. You try to leave? They're waiting in the parking lot. You head to the beach? They're already sunbathing. You're not visiting Australia anymore. You're trespassing in Kangaroo Nation. And here's the kicker most people don't talk about. These animals aren't just adorable. They're biological anomalies. We're talking 9-meter jumps. That's not a hop. That's supernatural propulsion. That's backyard to rooftop in one casual bounce. Oh, and they've got embryonic diapause. Yeah, that's science speak for pause the pregnancy, Karen. I'm not ready yet. These creatures can literally delay birth until conditions are better. Meanwhile, most humans can't even delay texting their ex. You start to see what I'm saying? We're out here arguing over reusable straws and which oat milk tastes less like regret, while kangaroos are outnumbering us, outjumping us, and outbreeding us with biological cheat codes. Let that sink in. These aren't just animals, they're evolution's favorite child. And somehow they still made it onto currency, sports teams, logos, like we chose to worship our future rulers. You ever wonder why that is? Why we plaster kangaroos everywhere like they're our little national mascots, when in reality, they're wild, untamed, and statistically more likely to outlive your retirement plan. Here's the truth you didn't ask for. We don't idolize the kangaroo because it's cute. We idolize it because it represents something we've lost. Powerful legs, unbothered energy, and a survival system that doesn't care about your Wi-Fi speed or your email inbox. They don't hustle. They don't overthink. They don't do Sunday scaries. They just bounce. And somewhere deep down, we envy the hell out of that. See, we think we run this planet. But when an animal that can punch you in the chest and bounce off like it didn't happen has more numbers than you, maybe it's time to rethink who's really in charge. So what's the point of all this? Simple. The world is shifting, and while you're stuck in meetings that could have been emails, kangaroos are out here owning the ecosystem. Unapologetically. Maybe we should take notes. Not on how to jump or grow a pouch, but how to stop living like endangered species in our own lives. Stop shrinking. Stop apologizing. Start moving like the damn kangaroo. Because here's your curiosity loop, and it's real. If kangaroos outnumber humans in Australia, what happens when the balance tips even further? What happens when nature doesn't wait for us to wake up? We're not at the top of the food chain. We're just the noisiest. And sometimes, the loudest one in the room is the most insecure. So yeah, laugh at the kangaroo memes. Buy the souvenir. But remember, those muscular little hoppers? They're not just animals. They're a mirror of what we were and what we might become if we stop fearing the bounce. Drop a 3 in the comments if you're tired of shrinking in a world that keeps demanding more and ready to bounce back with something primal, something unbothered, something that doesn't ask permission. Because survival isn't about who's the smartest. It's about who's ready to leap when the ground starts shaking. Number 4. The Outback, Earth's final wild frontier. We crave silence. We pay for it. Spa days. Meditation apps. Noise-canceling headphones that cost more than rent in 2003. But then you get silence, real silence, and suddenly you're squirming. Because silence doesn't lie. It doesn't distract. It just exposes. Welcome to the Outback. Not the steakhouse. The real one. 70% of Australia is this remote, red, raw. It's not curated. It's not Instagrammable. It's not trying to sell you anything, which already makes it more honest than 90% of your feed. And I know what you're thinking, what's even out there? You mean besides the sacred color-shifting monolith Uluru? Or fossil beds older than your religion? Or skies so dark and unfiltered, you can actually see galaxies, not just airplanes pretending to be stars? Yeah, besides that, what's out there? Snakes. Lizards. Dust. Stillness. Truth. The kind of truth that doesn't blink when you look at it. That asks you, when was the last time you were actually alone without feeling lonely? Not scrolling. Not binging. Not multitasking. Just being. Uncomfortable yet? Good. Because we've spent so long numbing ourselves with convenience that the very idea of nothingness feels threatening. The Outback doesn't hand you peace. It dares you to earn it. And most people? They don't want that kind of challenge. They want curated wilderness, Starbucks with a cactus. But the Outback doesn't care what you want. It is what it is, a vast, unbothered expanse of land that will bury your ego without even blinking. You think your deadlines matter here? Your follower count? Your skincare routine? Try surviving 110 degrees Fahrenheit with a bottle of lukewarm water and a GPS signal that went nope 2 hours ago. You ever wonder why people feel more spiritual in the desert? Because everything that doesn't matter gets burned off by the sun. Here's the wild stat. 70% of Australia is outback. That's not a fun fact. That's a brutal reminder that nature still owns most of the land. We're just trespassers with cell towers. You can pave over a city, but you can't domesticate this. You don't visit the outback. You enter it and hope it lets you leave. And yet, here's the twist. People need this place. Not for selfies. Not for bucket lists. For clarity. Because when the world stops screaming, you finally hear yourself again. The problem is, most of us don't want to hear ourselves. We've built whole lives on distraction. Streaming, scrolling, overscheduling. Busy is the new numbing. But the outback? It strips that all away. It doesn't offer Wi-Fi. It offers reflection. Which, let's be real, is a harder pill to swallow than your overpriced supplements. You know what else it offers? Reality. Where spiny lizards outlast your latest gut health fad. Where fossils laugh in the face of your longevity supplements. Where the stars don't twinkle for your aesthetic, they blaze because they can. The outback is Earth without the filter. And here's the real gut punch. If more people spent even 24 hours out here, half of them would change their whole lives. The other half would realize they've been faking it for so long, they don't even know what real feels like anymore. You ever think about that? Ever wonder what your life looks like when the noise cuts out? You should. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of everything you've been avoiding. And the outback? It doesn't whisper. It confronts. No signal. No support. Just you, your thoughts, and the land that couldn't care less about your comfort. So here's your moment. Your mirror. Your wake-up call without the alarm. Drop a 7 in the comments if you're tired of fake peace and ready to face the kind of quiet that actually heals you. Because healing doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens in the wild. In the red dust. Beneath stars that don't apologize. In places like the outback, where truth still breathes, and silence still screams. Number 5. 10,000 plus beaches, oceanic obsession. Let's get something straight. People don't love beaches because of the sand or the salt water. They love beaches because it's the only place left where no one expects you to pretend. No deadlines. No small talk. No forced smiles. Just sunburn, silence, and the sound of waves reminding you that the world doesn't revolve around your inbox. And if you think that's dramatic, let's talk numbers. Australia has over 10,000 beaches. Let that slap you in the face real quick. You could visit a new beach every day for the next 27 years and still not run out. Meanwhile, half of us can't even finish a Netflix series without skipping episodes. That's not tourism, that's therapy with a tide chart. But here's the part no one likes to say out loud. Most people don't go to the beach to relax, they go to forget. To press pause on a life they built too fast, too loud, and too far from the things that matter. You ever notice how people act at the beach? Like kids. Laughing for real. Napping without guilt. Eating like calories don't count. You think that's coincidence? Nah. That's what freedom looks like when it accidentally sneaks back in. Bondi Beach. Golden chaos. Hot sand, hotter egos, and abs so sharp they could slice your last shred of self-worth. It's loud, proud, and smells like SPF 50 and generational trauma. White Haven? That's your soul cleanser. Silica sand so white it makes snow insecure. It's not just beautiful, it's suspiciously perfect, like it's hiding the fact it's quietly judging your life choices. But the kicker? 90% of Australians live near the coast. That's not a fun fact. That's a lifestyle indictment. They didn't just pick the coast, they prioritized it. While most of us were sold on cubicles, school loans, and maybe next year vacations, Australians said, actually, we'll take ocean breezes and barefoot commutes, thanks. You ever wonder why coastal people seem chill? It's not magic. It's exposure. Salt air doesn't cure anxiety, but it does make your problems feel small enough to finally breathe through them. It's hard to catastrophize your job when a whale just breached 200 meters from your feet. And still, most people will scroll past this and think, must be nice. That's code for I've accepted mediocrity and now I resent anyone who hasn't. Let me make it worse for you. You know how people say, I need a vacation? No. You don't need a vacation. You need a life you don't want to run from every 6 months. And maybe, just maybe, the ocean has been quietly offering you that answer this whole time. Because beaches don't pretend to be more than they are. They don't sell you productivity hacks. They don't gaslight you with toxic positivity. They just exist. Loud when the waves crash. Soft when the tide retreats. Constant, even when you aren't. You want to talk therapy? Try sitting alone on a beach for an hour without touching your phone. You'll either find peace or realize how much of yourself you've outsourced to distractions. You ever wonder why the ocean feels like home even if you've never lived near one? Here's the punchline you didn't see coming. The ocean doesn't judge. It reflects. Whatever you bring to it, stress, joy, heartbreak, burnout, it gives it back but clearer, sharper, simpler. That's why people go. Not for tans. Not for Instagram. But because for once in their life, they feel like themselves again. So yeah, Australia has 10,000 beaches. But the real headline? Most people only need one to finally remember who the hell they are. Drop a beach in the comments if you're done vacationing from yourself, and ready to reclaim a life that doesn't need escaping from. Number 6. Pink Lakes, Nature's Photoshop. You ever scroll past one of those impossibly perfect photos online, a model staring wistfully into a pastel pink lake, and think, that can't be real? It's not your skepticism talking. It's your overexposure to filters, lies, and rented aesthetics that made you forget what real magic actually looks like. Here's the slap. Australia has lakes that look like someone spilled strawberry milk into a salt flat. And no, it's not CGI. It's nature, showing off like she just got dumped and hit the glow-up of the century. Lake Hillier. Lake Becking. Lake Crosby. They're not just pink, they're offensively pink. Like, is this sponsored by Barbie? Levels of pink. The kind of color that screams, I don't care if you think I'm extra, I am. Now here's where it gets nasty. In the best way, the reason they're pink? Halophilic algae. These microscopic drama queens thrive in salt-soaked waters and produce beta-carotene, the same pigment that makes carrots orange. So yeah, literal pond scum out here doing what entire marketing teams fail to do, making something weird go viral, without trying. You think your life is complicated? This is just single-celled organisms turning stress into color. Meanwhile, you can't even turn burnout into a decent out-of-office reply. But let's not pretend people go there for the science. People visit these lakes because they're tired. Not sleepy tired. Existentially drained. We're not tired, we're numb. From the endless swipe culture, the performative living, the constant race to appear fulfilled, while slowly choking on ambition we didn't even ask for. And then bam. A pink lake shows up like a neon slap across the face. It's real. It's absurd. And it's quietly telling you, you're allowed to want something that doesn't make sense to anyone else. Most people are living in grayscale. Same job. Same conversations. Same lunch order for 3 years straight. Pink lakes? That's what it looks like when life remembers how to surprise you. You ever wonder why we chase beauty that doesn't quite fit the mold? Because deep down, we're sick of molds. Sick of boxes. And something as unnecessary, as unapologetic, and as ridiculously pink as Lake Hillier? That's rebellion. That's healing disguised as eye candy. Now let's be clear, you won't find meaning standing next to a pink lake. But you will find contrast, between what you thought was possible, and what actually exists when nature stops playing by your rules. Think about it, most of your life is designed for efficiency, productivity, optimization. Pink lakes? They're designed for awe. That unshakable, childlike wait, what? Feeling you thought you outgrew in your teens. Turns out, you didn't. You just buried it under bills and bad Wi-Fi. You want something real? Try looking at a natural phenomenon that doesn't ask for your likes, doesn't care about your opinion, and doesn't even need you to notice, and still stuns you anyway. That's pink lakes. No permission. No performance. Just raw, biological weirdness, doing more for your soul than your therapist did last Tuesday. So yeah, go ahead and chase another productivity hack if that makes you feel in control. But deep down, you know what you really want. You want to stand on the edge of something that shouldn't exist, but does anyway. Something strange. Unfiltered. Unedited. Because maybe, just maybe, if a lake can be pink, your life doesn't have to stay beige. Drop a heart in the comments if you're done living muted, and ready to let the weird, wild color back in. Number 7. Expensive city life. Paradise comes at a price. You ever fall in love with a city only to get ghosted by your own bank account? Welcome to Australia, where the views are jaw-dropping, and so are the rent prices. You don't live in a city here. You survive in it. Like a contestant on a reality show no one's filming, but everyone's silently judging. Sydney's average rent? 4,000 Australian dollars a month. That's not rent, that's ransom. That's we've taken your financial dignity hostage, and you still have to bring your own toilet paper. And Melbourne? $2,500 monthly. And that's if you're lucky. And by lucky, I mean living in a shoebox with plumbing held together by duct tape and regret. Now here's the kicker. Minimum wage in Australia is $23 an hour. Sounds cute, right? Until you realize that gets swallowed by bills faster than you can say, I'll just stay in tonight. People are out here working full-time and still couch surfing. That's not freedom. That's a full-blown espresso shot-fueled panic loop that starts on Monday and ends never. You've got baristas who can make you a heart-shaped cappuccino foam but can't afford a mattress to sleep on after their shift. Nurses healing people during the day, then sleeping in cars at night. Teachers shaping the future of kids, and eating 2-minute noodles like it's a lifestyle brand. You know what's truly offensive? Australia's one of the wealthiest countries on Earth. We're not talking third-world excuses here. This isn't we don't have the resources. This is we have the money, we just funneled it into investment properties, boat upgrades, and avocado toast for dogs. This isn't a housing crisis anymore. It's a reality distortion field. Because the only people who call Sydney livable are the ones who already own 4 homes and a private chef named Stefan. Everyone else? They're staring down rent increases like it's a plot twist in a horror movie they paid to star in. You ever try to apply for a rental in Sydney? It's Hunger Games with better outfits. List your income, references, blood type, firstborn, and a 400-word essay on why you're worthy of indoor plumbing. And don't even get me started on affordable housing. What a hilarious myth. That's like Bigfoot, but with worse lighting. You want a joke? Here it is. People in Sydney pay more to live in a 1-bedroom apartment than folks in entire suburban homes in half the Western world. And no, you don't get extra perks for that. Your view? A brick wall. Your parking spot? Imaginary. Your peace of mind? Long gone. And yet, people stay. Because the skyline is pretty. Because the beach is close. Because we're all quietly praying we win the lottery or marry someone whose dad just happens to be in real estate. But you know what's even more messed up? Some of these people have jobs, but no homes. Working citizens. With uniforms. With schedules. With taxes. Living in vans, on couches, in shelters. Not because they're lazy. Because the system decided that human dignity costs extra. So here's the truth. Paradise comes at a price. And if you're not born into wealth or willing to throw your sanity into a shredder, you pay in peace, sleep, and years shaved off your life expectancy. Think I'm exaggerating? Go stand in a rental line behind 60 other people, and then tell me I'm wrong. Drop a 7 in the comments if your rent costs more than your will to live. Because at this point, the receipts speak louder than we ever could. Number 8. Snakes, spiders, and silent killers. You think you're brave because you kill bugs with a sandal? That's cute. Australia doesn't care about your bravery. It laughs at it, pats your head, and introduces you to the inland taipan, the world's most venomous snake. Not just venomous, record-breaking deadly. One bite from the sand-colored death noodle and you're done. Not later. Not tomorrow. In under an hour. But wait, we're not done. Let's talk spiders. The Sydney funnel web. Small. Hairy. Looks like anxiety with legs. And venom so potent it makes tarantulas look like therapy pets. You could be putting your shoe on and boom, surprise death. And still, people here walk barefoot like they're in a shampoo commercial. Why? Because Australia doesn't just have dangerous animals, it is a dangerous animal. The entire continent is built like one massive fear factor episode. Except there's no prize money. Just trauma and maybe a bill from the ER if you blink wrong near a bush. 145 venomous snake species. 145. That's not biodiversity, that's a hit list with scales. And yet, somehow, only 2 deaths per year from venomous bites. How? Because Australians don't panic, they prep. They treat surviving a near-death encounter like it's Tuesday. These people will see a snake in their living room and calmly say, "Oh yeah, he's back." Then make tea. Because Aussies? They're built different. Not stronger. Not faster. Just wildly, clinically unfazed. There's something in the water here, and no, it's not fluoride. It's resignation mixed with national pride. You see, in other countries, people get dramatic about a squirrel. In Australia, you could be attacked by a swooping magpie while jogging and still rate your run 5 stars on Strava. You could step on a jellyfish, faint, and still be expected to finish the barbecue. That's not resilience, that's societal peer pressure with a tan. And let's not forget the silent killers. Box jellyfish, blue-ringed octopuses, cone snails. Literal death disguised as ocean decor. You want to swim? Better memorize a zoology textbook first. And here's the part no one talks about. It's not the animals that are the problem. It's the denial. People come to Australia thinking they're in a travel brochure. Kangaroos, sunshine, surfboards. But what they're really walking into is an obstacle course where everything has a stinger, venom gland, or the motivation to ruin your week. Tourists out here asking, is that safe to touch? Buddy, if you have to ask, it's not. In fact, just assume everything here is plotting. Meanwhile, Australians don't even flinch. They keep sandals by the door, not for comfort, but as DIY spider disposal devices. They see an enormous huntsman on the wall and go, yeah, he eats the flies. Leave him. Leave him. In any sane country, that's grounds to burn the house down. So here's the cold, ugly truth. Australia didn't evolve around humans. Humans adapted around Australia. You either learn how to spot venomous snakes by their vibe, or you don't make it to your second Vegemite sandwich. And still, people move here. They stay. They love it. Because deep down, Aussies have figured out something the rest of us haven't. Fear is just another part of life. Like rent. Or humidity. You don't whine about it. You just deal with it. So if you're scared of snakes, spiders, or ocean monsters, don't worry, they're scared of you too. Just kidding. They're not. Now go ahead. Tell me again how brave you are, after screaming over a house centipede in your bathroom. Number 9. Tasmania, the world's cleanest air. You ever step outside, take a deep breath, and immediately regret it? Yeah. That's not fresh air. That's second-hand industrial disappointment. We pretend it's crisp, but what you're actually inhaling is the emotional baggage of 10,000 cars, 6 power plants, and Karen vaping by the bus stop. But hey, silver lining, Tasmania exists. More specifically, Cape Grim. A place so clean, it makes bottled mountain spring water look like mop runoff. This tiny slice of earth, dangling off the southern tip of Australia like it's trying to escape humanity's mess, has the cleanest air on the planet. Period. Not cleaner than New York. Not cleaner than Tokyo. Cleanest. Ever. Winds travel thousands of kilometers across the Southern Ocean with 0 pit stops. No cities, no factories. Not even a lost cruise ship farting out emissions. And land right here. Untainted. Unbothered. Unapologetically pure. Like nature before we showed up and ruined everything. Let that sink in. While you're over there spraying Febreze and pretending your room doesn't smell like despair and disappointment, Tasmania's just breathing actual air, the kind you didn't know still existed outside fairy tales and old people's memories. And it's not just, oh wow, it smells nice. No. This isn't aromatherapy. This is data. This place has an air archive. Think about that. While the rest of the world's collecting NFTs and trauma, Cape Grim is collecting clean air samples like time-stamped secrets from Earth's lungs. Every vial a chapter in the planet's diary, before and after we started torching it for convenience. Now here's where it gets dark. You'd think knowing this would make us do better. But no. Instead, we treat Tasmania like a background extra in a movie about Australia. We forget it exists. Why? Because it's not noisy. It's not trendy. And it's not selling some overpriced eco-candle on Instagram. It's just being good. Quietly. While the rest of us are choking on our own bad decisions. And let's be honest, we love pretending air pollution is someone else's problem. Oh, it's the factories. It's the government. It's the cows. Sure. But it's also you, idling in your car for 5 extra minutes so you can finish your podcast. It's you, ordering 1 avocado from across the globe wrapped in enough plastic to mummify a toddler. But we don't change, do we? Because we're not tired, we're numb. We scroll past wildfires, then complain the next day when the sunset looks a little too orange. We treat climate reports like spam mail. Delete. Deny. Repeat. Meanwhile, Tasmania's out here flexing cleaner air than your essential oil diffuser. With no hashtags. No PR team. Just raw, untouched existence. You want a metaphor? Fine. Cape Grim is like that one quiet kid in school who actually does the group project while everyone else is busy rebranding procrastination as creative incubation. And guess what? When the planet finally gives up, he's the only one left with a passing grade. So what now? Do we pack our bags and invade Tasmania like air refugees with oat milk? Nope. We'll probably just keep scrolling, maybe click like on a video about trees, and forget this ever happened. But not you. Because now you know. You know that somewhere on this burning, gasping, over-medicated planet, there's still a place that remembers what real air is supposed to taste like. And deep down, that should shake you. Not just because it's rare, but because we let it become rare. So next time you brag about getting some fresh air, ask yourself, was it fresh, or just less toxic than yesterday? And if you're still breathing easy, it's probably because Tasmania's doing the work for you. You're welcome. Drop a 9 if you're tired of fake peace and ready to breathe air that doesn't come with a side of guilt. Number 10. Fraser Island, the giant sand paradise. Let's get one thing straight. Most of you aren't overworked, you're over everything. Overhyped, overstimulated, overwhelmed. Your calendar looks like a 5-year-old scribbled on it. Your group chats are 90% let's catch up soon. And your brain hasn't felt silence since the Wi-Fi was down that one time in 2019. But here's what no one tells you. You don't actually hate your life. You just haven't stood barefoot on a 75-mile sand island while wild dingoes eyeball you like you're the weird one. Welcome to Kari. Fraser Island, if you're new here. The largest sand island on Earth. And no, not just a big beach. We're talking ancient rainforests growing directly out of dunes, freshwater lakes so clear they make bottled water look like sewer juice, and sunsets that don't need a filter because nature doesn't do ugly. But here's the kicker, most of you will never go. Why? Because you'll trade this masterpiece for a plastic flamingo at some overcrowded pool in Vegas. Because deep down, you've been tricked into believing relaxation means loud drinks and louder people. Fraser Island isn't a vacation. It's a wake-up call with a view. You want numbers? Here's one, 123 kilometers long, made entirely of sand, yet it hosts over 40 freshwater lakes, dense forests, and real wildlife. Like, actual wildlife. Not squirrels stealing fries on a picnic bench. Dingoes. Sea eagles. Whale parades that pass by like nature's version of a royal tour. But let's talk pain. Because you love pain, don't you? You scroll it, watch it, binge it in documentaries and news feeds. But here's the pain nobody warned you about. Your senses are starving. You've replaced awe with algorithm. You've traded wonder for Wi-Fi. Kari doesn't care about your 5G. It wants you to shut up, look up, and finally feel something real. Here's a thought. You ever wonder why sand feels better on your feet than carpet ever did? Because sand doesn't lie to you. Carpet pretends to be clean. Sand says, this is me, ancient, raw, honest. Step lightly. And maybe that's what we're all craving, honest spaces. Places that don't try to sell you something every 3 minutes. Where silence isn't awkward, it's holy. Where you're not being watched, tracked, rated, and optimized. You're just present. And for once, no one's asking you to perform. Fraser Island is like that weird relative who lives off the grid. Wild, unpredictable, a little dangerous, but hands down the most peaceful soul you've ever met. And if you're still not convinced, let me punch you with this. Fraser Island is one of the only places on Earth where rainforests grow on sand. Let that bake in your logical brain for a sec. Sand. No rich soil, no fertilizer, just stubborn, silent growth. Which kinda sounds like you, doesn't it? Trying to grow peace in a world that keeps pouring noise on you like bad cologne. So what do you do with that? You make a choice. You stop chasing beach holidays that look good on Instagram and start chasing the kind of silence that actually heals you. Kari doesn't need you. But God knows you need it. Drop a K in the comments if you're done chasing fake peace and ready to feel something real. Because this isn't paradise built for influencers. This is paradise for people who are finally sick of pretending they're okay. Number 11. The longest golf course on Earth. Let's be real, golf isn't a sport. It's an excuse to avoid your family, justify khakis, and pretend walking counts as cardio. But here's the twist. What if I told you there's a golf course so absurd, so punishing, so comically long, that by the time you finish it, you'll question whether golf was ever the point? Welcome to Nullarbor Links. 18 holes. 848 miles. One course. And no, that's not a typo. It's a psychological experiment disguised as a golf game. See, most people play golf to relax. Nullarbor? You play this course to confront every bad life decision you've ever made. While dodging kangaroos and wondering if that bush is moving because of the wind or because there's a snake planning your funeral. Let's establish some common ground. You're exhausted. Not physically, existentially. You're tired of the grind, tired of small talk, tired of pretending your idea of a vacation is sipping hotel lobby coffee next to a decorative plant that's probably plastic. You don't want luxury. You want meaning. You want a story. Well, Nullarbor Links is less of a golf course and more of a spiritual breakdown wrapped in sunscreen and roadkill. Because here's the part that punches. The holes are 200 kilometers apart. That's not golf. That's a quest. And it's perfect, because let's be honest, golf has always been the most passive-aggressive way to say, I need space. But Nullarbor doesn't give you space. It gives you miles of heat, dust, and silence so loud it echoes your regrets back at you. You ever tee off at hole 3 and start remembering your high school ex? That's the vibe. Most golf courses are like carefully curated therapy sessions. Safe, manicured, predictable. Nullarbor is the emotional purge. It's not green grass and polite applause. It's bare earth and your inner demons cackling in the passenger seat. You think you're playing golf. What you're actually doing is testing how long you can go without Wi-Fi before you start hallucinating your phone notifications. But here's the part that slaps you sideways. This isn't just a course, it's a road trip through the soul of the Outback. You pass through ghost towns, abandoned roadhouses, emus judging you from the shoulder. One hole literally starts at a gas station. Another ends near a runway. It's less Tiger Woods, more Mad Max with a 9-iron. Now the curiosity loop. Why would anyone willingly do this? Why would someone sign up for a sport that demands sunscreen, snacks, a full tank of gas, and possibly a will? Here's the brutal truth. Because deep down, we crave something hard. Something real. We're not tired, we're numb. And this course? It hurts just enough to remind us we're still alive. Nullarbor Links isn't fun. It's proof. Proof that adventure still exists in this overfiltered pre-packaged world. Proof that you can swing a club and still feel something besides guilt and corporate obligation. Proof that sometimes, the dumbest ideas are the ones that make the best damn stories. So yeah, play your little neighborhood course. Hit a few birdies. Post the selfie. But just know, out there across 848 miles of red dirt and madness, real golfers are sweating, swearing, and swinging their way across Australia's ultimate test of endurance, patience, and possibly sanity. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you play this for the plot. Because let's face it, the only thing crazier than driving 1,300 kilometers for a golf game is living a life that never made you want to. Number 12. 60+ wine regions. Grape expectations. Australia loves its wine. No surprise there, we've got over 60 wine regions bubbling away like it's a backyard Barbie on steroids. Barossa Valley, Hunter, Margaret River, Yarra, honestly, it's like a tasting tour of denial. We drink like we're being paid to. Like someone's going to hand us a tax break for every bottle we chug. Oh, it's just a cheeky Shiraz with dinner. Mate, that's your 4th cheeky Shiraz this week. At this point, your liver's crying in Morse code. And the worst part? We dress it up. It's not alcoholism if the label's French and costs over $30, right? Wrong. We've just gentrified getting sloshed. Yeah, the wine culture here is lush. The vineyards are sprawling. The views? Instagrammable as hell. But we've got a rotting grape under all this gloss, and no one wants to smell it. Because here's the hard pour, pun fully intended, alcohol in Australia is a socially accepted government-taxed addiction. And it's cute, until it's not. Let's talk facts. High alcohol consumption is directly tied to domestic violence, addiction, and intergenerational trauma, particularly in Aboriginal communities. But sure, Karen, let's clink glasses at brunch and pretend your Pinot Grigio isn't part of a bigger, bloodier picture. See, when white Australia drinks, it's culture. When indigenous communities struggle with alcohol, suddenly it's a problem. The hypocrisy could ferment a whole new vintage. You think this is harsh? Good. Be uncomfortable. You should be. Because we don't need another winery, we need a wake-up call. And don't even try to come at me with personal responsibility, while BWS is doing happy hour on misery every other block. We let alcohol be the guest of honor at every social event. Weddings? Cheers. Birthdays? Bottoms up. Funerals? Hell, pour one out. We drink to celebrate. We drink to forget. We drink because we don't know how to feel sober anymore. And somewhere in that haze, real lives get wrecked. Women get bruised. Children get scarred. Men drown in their silence. And communities, especially Aboriginal ones, carry the weight of it all with no lifeline, no support, just shame and a system that doesn't care. But hey, there's a wine for every occasion, right? Rose all day, they say. Sure, if you want your life to be one long hangover with glitter. We've glamorized a poison, dressed it up in tasting notes and cheese boards, while it slowly unthreads the fabric of families. So here's the truth, a glass of wine here is not just a drink. It's a mirror. It reflects who we are, or at least who we've become. Comfortably numb. Blissfully blind. Toasting to tragedy with a smirk. We need to stop pretending that sipping Chardonnay with your pinky out makes the consequences disappear. It doesn't. It just makes you feel fancier while the trauma gets poured down someone else's throat. So yeah, wine culture is alive and well. But maybe, just maybe, it's time we put the glass down. And pick the conversation up. Because at the bottom of that bottle isn't flavor. It's fallout. Drop a 12 if you've had enough of pretending you're fine and you're ready to heal without the wine. Number 13. 80% unique wildlife. Evolution gone rogue. Australia. The land where nature rolled the dice, dropped the board, and just made up the rules. You want weird? We've got weird. Koalas that sleep 22 hours a day and scream like Satan's goats in heat. Platypuses, which, let's be honest, look like a duck and a beaver had an identity crisis mid-orgy. And don't even get me started on echidnas. You know what's terrifying? A mammal with spikes and a four-headed penis. Yeah, evolution just went rogue here. 80%, 80% of Australia's wildlife is found nowhere else on Earth. That's not biodiversity, that's a full-blown conspiracy. We're not a country, we're a live-action sci-fi documentary that David Attenborough probably watches and goes, "What the hell is that?" But here's what makes me mad, and you should be mad too: we treat this gift like garbage. This place is a biological goldmine, a living museum of creatures the rest of the world would sell their grandmother to see, and what do? Bulldoze it. Pave it. Set it on fire, sometimes literally, sometimes with coal and indifference. We're home to 3 of the world's 5 egg-laying mammals. You know how rare that is? That's like finding a unicorn in your backyard and using it as a lawnmower. But sure, let's keep clearing habitats to build another Woolies with 6 people in it. Australia has been isolated for 50 million years. That's 50 million years of nature playing mad scientist. This continent has been cooking up creatures like evolution's own fever dream. And instead of protecting it like it's sacred, which it bloody well is, we act like it's disposable. Oh look, a tree kangaroo. Yeah mate, enjoy it now, because if we keep this up, your grandkids will only see one printed on a recycled shopping bag. Let's talk koalas. Cute, cuddly, iconic, also nearly extinct in parts of the country. Why? Because we won't stop building over their homes. Imagine if someone walked into your house with a bulldozer and said, "Sorry Sharon, we need space for a new golf course." That's exactly what we're doing to the animals that make this country what it is. And I don't want to hear the "it's for the economy" argument. You know what drives tourism? Wildlife. Not another shopping center with overpriced sushi rolls and sad escalators. People don't fly 16 hours to see a Kmart. They come here to see kangaroos in the wild, not on the side of the highway as roadkill. We should be the global capital of conservation. Instead, we're the drunk uncle at the family barbecue who keeps setting the shed on fire and yelling, "It's fine." No, it's not fine. Our wildlife is vanishing. And not in some poetic way. Gone. Wiped. Deleted. And we're letting it happen because it's inconvenient to care. Because saving the planet requires effort and accountability. 2 things we seem violently allergic to. You don't get 50 million years of evolution and just piss it away like this. This isn't just about the animals. It's about who we are. What kind of legacy we want to leave. Because if we're the generation that let the platypus go extinct, what does that say about us? So yeah, laugh at the echidna. Gawk at the cassowary. Marvel at the marsupials. But then do something. Speak up. Call it out. Demand better. Because once this wildlife is gone, it's gone. And you can't TikTok your way out of extinction. Number 14. No active volcanoes. Surprisingly peaceful. You ever notice how we say we want peace, like real inner calm, but secretly can't sit still without doom scrolling or mentally rehearsing arguments that never happened? Yeah. We say, "I just want stability," but deep down we're addicted to chaos. The kind of emotional earthquakes that make everything feel more alive, even if they're slowly killing us. Here's a thought. What if peace isn't boring? We just forgot what it feels like. Which brings me to a wild fact that no one talks about because apparently, calm doesn't trend. Australia has no active volcanoes. Yeah. None. 0. Zip. The entire continent is just still. Solid. Unbothered. Unmoved. Like that one emotionally distant uncle who doesn't say much but built his own house from scratch and never cries at funerals. It's all because of Australia's position smack in the middle of the Indo-Australian tectonic plate. Translation? You can walk across red deserts, ancient mountain ranges, and cracked-out wilderness without the earth trying to explode under your feet. Imagine that, a place where the ground beneath you literally does not want to kill you. Let that sink in. Because in a world where everything feels like it's one meltdown away from imploding, your boss, your bank account, your mental health, that kind of grounded geological calm feels almost alien. You'd think we'd be grateful, right? But no. We romanticize volcanoes. We want drama. We want the emotional lava flow. We swipe right on walking disasters and call it chemistry. We stay in toxic jobs because at least it's stable, which is the corporate version of living next to an active volcano and saying, well, it hasn't erupted yet. Because let's be honest, most of us have no idea what to do when things aren't falling apart. We confuse stability with stagnation. We don't know how to relax because silence sounds suspicious. We don't trust the stillness because peace doesn't make headlines, breakdowns do. And here's the kicker, most people don't want peace. They want relief. Relief is temporary. Peace is maintenance. Relief is binge-watching Netflix with wine after crying in the shower. Peace is actually dealing with your crap so the crying in the shower phase doesn't become your personality. You want to know what Australia's lack of volcanoes actually represents? It's the metaphor for the version of you that's not addicted to chaos. The you that doesn't need constant eruptions to feel something. The version of you that's not waiting for the next blow-up just to confirm that you're alive. But peace is boring, right? No. Peace is underrated because it's unfamiliar. We've normalized emotional tectonic shifts so much that a flatline feels like failure. But what if the stillness isn't emptiness? What if it's the baseline you've been searching for? See, people talk about finding themselves like it's a treasure hunt. But sometimes it's not about finding, it's about unlearning. Unlearning the belief that only chaos makes you worthy. Unlearning the idea that your life needs eruptions to matter. Australia isn't boring. It's stable, predictable, grounded, peaceful. And that's not a weakness, that's a superpower in a world addicted to explosions. So maybe it's time to stop chasing volcanic passion and start choosing tectonic calm. Maybe the version of you that doesn't always need to prove, impress, fix, or fight, that version? That's the version worth building on. Because peace isn't passive. It's powerful. It's rare. And it doesn't erupt, it endures. Now drop a 14 in the comments if you're tired of glorifying disaster and ready to choose the kind of quiet that doesn't come with sirens. Number 15. 20 UNESCO Sites, Earth's Crown Jewels. You ever wonder how we manage to live in one of the most stunning places on Earth and still find ways to ignore it completely? Like, we'll fly 17 hours to take a blurry photo in front of the Eiffel Tower but won't even drive 3 hours to Uluru. Makes sense, right? No, it doesn't. And deep down, you know it doesn't. Because here's the truth, we're not uninspired, we're desensitized. We live inside the museum and complain the lighting's bad. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is outside banging on the glass just begging to come in. Australia has 20 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. 20. That's not a list, that's a mic drop. Uluru, Kakadu, the Great Barrier Reef, Daintree, Fraser Island. These aren't just postcards, they're proof that this continent is Earth's VIP section. Nature's backstage pass. And yet, most of us couldn't name more than 3. We're out here treating World Heritage like it's optional content. Like it's DLC for a game we can't be bothered to download. You ever ask someone what their weekend plans are? Oh, nothing. Just chilling. You live 3 hours from ancient rock formations older than Jesus and you're just chilling? Okay, Kevin. Sure. See, this isn't about tourism, this is about attention. We don't value what's around us because we're too busy looking for things that sparkle on someone else's feed. It's like having crown jewels in your living room and using them as doorstops. And let's be brutally real, if the Great Barrier Reef was in Europe, there'd be velvet ropes around it and someone charging 50 euros for a peek. Here, we're bleaching it like it's a white t-shirt in a scandal. Want to feel uncomfortable? Here's your soul flinch moment. We are the first generation with access to more natural and cultural beauty than almost anyone in human history. And we're too burnt out, broke, distracted, or indifferent to care. And we wonder why nothing feels meaningful. Because deep down, we're surrounded by meaning, we just stopped looking. Australia's UNESCO sites aren't just pretty places. They're living timelines. They hold 60,000 years of indigenous knowledge, stories carved into stone, reefs that have witnessed ice ages, forests older than your spiritual coach. And yet we treat them like background scenery for drone shots and engagement pics. You want a metaphor? Here it is. Visiting these places is like reading your grandma's love letters. Sacred. Intimate. The kind of history that doesn't just speak, it whispers truths you didn't know you needed. But instead, we scroll. We ghost our own culture. We think someday I'll go. Newsflash, someday is how things disappear. The reef doesn't care about your future travel plans. The rainforest doesn't wait for you to book time off work. These sites? They're not eternal. They're invitations, and most of us are RSVPing with silence. Let me put it like this, we're not lacking wonder. We're just emotionally undercooked. Starving for depth but surviving on memes and mid-tier matcha. And it's not your fault. You've been trained to chase the next thing. The next trip. The next dopamine hit. But the real gold? It's under your feet. It's carved into red rock. It's breathing in ancient rainforests. It's not content, it's context. So here's the truth you don't want but absolutely need. If you don't learn to honor the extraordinary while it's still ordinary to you, one day you'll wake up surrounded by ruins and call it nostalgia. Now drop a 15 in the comments if you're done sleeping on what people fly across the world to experience, and you're ready to see your home the way the rest of the world already does. So, is Australia a paradise or a death trap? A wine-soaked retreat with crystal waves? Or a giant open-air escape room where the snakes have more rights than you? Maybe, just maybe, it's both. A sunburned paradox where the sunsets look like postcards and the spiders look like final bosses. This place doesn't just want your Instagram likes, it wants your respect. You don't walk through Australia. You survive it. And if you're lucky, you leave with better stories, and fewer regrets. But here's the kicker, most of you won't even go. You'll just scroll, save, and forget. Again. So if you made it this far without tapping out, drop a kangaroo in the comments. And hit like, subscribe, and smash that bell, because this isn't just a travel series. This is direction X, and you've barely scratched the surface of the only continent bold enough to flirt with extinction and beauty in the same breath. This information is for reference only. Please make sure to do your research before making your decision.